Hi everyone, today's video is different than anything else that's on my channel, but I feel as a YouTuber I need to share it because it's kind of a serious issue, and as I was going through it I did a lot of Googling, all sorts of Googling like we all do these days, but in the end it was most helpful to hear other people's stories. So let's just get right to it. Okay, so I got my notes here because there's lots of details. I don't want to make this video too long, but then again, there's lots of stuff I want to include. So let's just get started. I went through an ectopic pregnancy a couple months ago. It's been about a month now. It's finally all been over with. Everything's back to normal. It didn't rupture, no emergency surgery or anything. I know that happens a lot. I got the Methotrexate injection, but I guess I mainly want to talk about this because I went through a lot of pain before even finding out what was going on. So yeah, I just want to tell my story and how it all went down. At the time all this started, I had an 8-month-old daughter who keeps distracting me, working at me. So yes, I was breastfeeding. I'm still breastfeeding, and I was taking birth control pills. So finding out that I was pregnant was a huge shock because it's not something we planned on, and I didn't know how it happened. But I had kind of went on and off my birth control because I'm really bad about remembering to take them. So when all this happened, I had just started taking my birth control like a month before. So I don't know, it was all crazy how it happened. So when all this started, I thought it was because the birth control was messing me up somehow, and the way all this started was feeling a lot of pain, which I'll go into detail in a little bit. But let's just say, I started my birth control pills, the progesterone only, I think, whatever it's called, because I was breastfeeding. So I thought the birth control was messing me all up. So I had what I thought was a normal period. I still guess, I don't know if it was, but on March 17th, I went out of town with my girlfriends for a friend's 30th birthday that weekend. And so I remember specifically being on my period because it's not fun to be on that when you're on vacation. So it was March 17th, and then the day that all this stuff started, I remember specifically also because it was on Easter, which was Sunday, March 27th. I remember all that day, all that Sunday, I had been cramping and spotting, and I remember telling my sister-in-law, like, I'm all messed up. I just had a period, and now I'm dealing with all this again. What the heck is going on with me? So then that night, I remember sitting in our recliner, and the pains started to come on real strong. And we just put the kids to bed, and I was sitting there on my computer for like an hour doing stuff on YouTube. And then I stood up, and it was just like, it just started slowly getting worse and worse. The cramping, I guess you would say it was. And then it just started to feel like I was in labor. Like, that's the best way to describe it. I started to have these pains in my back and in the front. I remember sitting on the couch. I told Jared I was hurting, and I couldn't move. I just laid there, and I'm not the type of person that just sits around doing nothing. And then I eventually came in here to our bedroom, and I turned on the TV, and I took some Tylenol. The Tylenol, I was just sitting there waiting for it to kick in, and it never helped. The pains were just getting worse, and I was trying to distract myself with the TV, and that wasn't helping. And so in the end, the only thing that helped a little bit is that pain was a heating pad. Yeah, I remember being up till like 3 in the morning because the pain was just bad, but finally I ended up falling asleep. And then, see, that was on a Sunday. It never got as bad as that first time, but over the next few days, like, there was an uncomfortableness, just a dull, cramp feeling there for the next few days. It was just really annoying. Alright, so then a few days went by. I was okay over the weekend, I remember, because that was our anniversary weekend, so luckily nothing happened that weekend because we got to enjoy our anniversary. And then that Monday, I remember my mom took the day off to go with us to the zoo, me and the girls. And I remember waking up that morning, and I had woken up before Jordan, the baby, woke up, and I was like, yes, I'm gonna get a shower in before she gets up. And then the pain started coming on, and I had to go to the bathroom. For any of you who have had kids, you know what I mean when you're in labor and you have to go to the bathroom. So yeah, I remember being on the toilet, and like it was hurting so bad, like I felt like I was gonna black out, and I was just sitting there like with my head in my hands, and I couldn't get up. I just sat there for a while. So I got up, and then I just laid in bed, and I'm not a very dramatic person, so throughout all this I don't think Jared really understood how bad the pain was. And I stay at home with our 2 daughters, and it was really hard to be going through all this and take care of the kids. Like, there were so many times I just wanted to lay in bed because it hurt so bad, and I just wanted him to take care of the kids, but I didn't want to ask because he's working and my job is to stay home with the kids. So it was really hard doing all that. I'm sure it would have been hard if I was working. I'm sure there would have been days that I would have called in sick because I don't know how I would have functioned at work with those pains going on. But every time I say pains, it was just like a cramping feeling, like when you're in labor. If you've been in labor, then you know what I'm talking about. It was always in my back and in the front, just constant all around. I always felt like I had to go to the bathroom. So yeah, I remember that Monday waking up and that happened. But thankfully I was able to continue going throughout my day. It wasn't so bad to where I couldn't do anything. We went to the zoo and everything. And then again, just over the next couple days, there was just this annoying feeling there, the cramping feeling. And I think like that Wednesday, I finally called my doctor, my gynecologist, to make an appointment. And let's see, that would have been on April 6th or something like that. I called the doctor to make an appointment, and they said they were booked until June 1st. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna have to deal with this until June 1st. That would not have been good. Probably would have died. But thankfully, after I hung up with her, she called back and said they did have a cancellation, and so they were able to get me in a couple weeks on April 19th. Thank God. But still, I had to go through this for 2 weeks, and it would just happen every few days or something. Like, I remember I'd one day making lunch for the kids, and then I was about to make something for myself to eat, and it just started happening. And like, I mean, I had to take care of them, but also had to sit there in pain. So I would just kind of sit there and be lazy, and I couldn't eat. I couldn't do anything while it was going on. Oh yeah, I mean, I had no idea what this was. Like, I thought maybe it was the birth control messing me up, but then I was like, it can't just be from the birth control. So then I kind of knew what endometriosis was, and I did some research on that, and it sounded like what I was going through. So this whole time I thought that it was endometriosis. I just knew for sure. But then I ended up going to the doctor, and I remember when I first started talking to her, I told her about the birth control and how I had been on and off. So she was talking about that forever. And in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, I know it's not birth control, but she would quit talking about it. But then she finally stopped, and I was like, started talking to her about the pains. And that's when she kind of like got serious and got a worried look on her face. And so she did a pap smear, and then she did a sonogram, and she was waiting on my urine results to come back. She was like, is there any way that you would be pregnant? I was like, no. You know, I just knew that I wouldn't be, but it turns out that I was. She came back in, she's like, got the results, she's like, you're pregnant. And I was just like, oh my gosh, are you serious? And I mean, I never felt like it was like I was really pregnant, you know. I just knew that it wasn't going to be a normal pregnancy, and that we weren't going to have another baby, you know, because of how bad the pain was. I just knew that it wasn't normal. So she did a sonogram, and there was a bunch of fluid on the outside of my uterus. And so she said that her thoughts, but she couldn't see in my uterus, she couldn't see anything, the baby or anything like that. So she said maybe it's too early to see the baby, or she said maybe like a cyst, an ovarian cyst had ruptured, and the fluid, that's what the fluid was. Or she said maybe it was an ectopic pregnancy, and that was blood leaking out of the fallopian tube, and that's what the fluid was. But so yeah, what she wanted to do was take my blood, or get my blood drawn. I had to get my blood drawn. They tested the HCG levels, and then she wanted me to come back the next day, and she was going to do another sonogram and test the HCG, which is the pregnancy hormone, those levels again. And if they increased over that 24 hours, then it would be a normal pregnancy. But if it decreased, it would not be a normal pregnancy. So that was, first appointment was April 19th. I came back April 20th. The next day she did another sonogram. Yeah, Jared went with me that time. And I think at the second sonogram, she looked closer at the fallopian tubes and she could see a little, you know, bulge, a little bitty bulge in one of the tubes. I think it was on my right side. She was pretty certain that's what it was. And so, you know, I trusted her, and she's always been right in the past. So in the back of my mind, I knew that's what it was. So I just knew it wasn't going to be a normal pregnancy. So yeah, my HCG levels the first day was 680, and then the second day they were 631. So they did decrease. So she said, or she was giving me the option that they could do a surgery, but she didn't like doing that. She doesn't like messing with the fallopian tubes. Or she said I could get the Methotrexate injection, which is just a shot, and that takes care of everything. So that's what I ended up doing. I went in that Friday, April 22nd, Earth Day, and I got the injection. It was one shot, but they split it up into two, so I got it in the bum, both sides, and it was really easy. It was done in the doctor's office. I had both the girls with me, and so it was really quick and simple. It didn't hurt. The thing that bothered me the most was the day before that, when the doctor had called me and told me to come get the shot, and she had said I couldn't breastfeed for 5 days. No, she said I had to stop breastfeeding, and as soon as she said that, I started crying because I just really didn't want to stop. But then it ended up being I just needed to quit for 5 days, so that wasn't too bad. So I went back on April 22nd, that Friday, got the shot. They took my blood then. The HCG was 529, so it had decreased again. Didn't really feel much that day after the shot, except for that evening I was just like exhausted, but that also could have been because I had went to the park and like done stuff with the girls, so I don't know if it was from the shot or what. But the next day, Saturday, went to an Earth Day event, and about noon that day I started feeling some cramping, and it just kind of came on stronger throughout the day. Then the next day was Sunday. Thankfully I didn't have the girls and Jared was not home, so after church I literally laid in bed for hours just watching The Office and doing stuff on the computer, and I never do anything like that, but I was in a lot of pain, cramping, so that's what I did. That's how I spent that Sunday. Over the next couple weeks I just kind of had some different minor pains. It was never as bad as those first ones, just some cramping and different stuff. It was kind of always changing, the feeling that I was having. So let's see, day 1 was the day of the shot. You have to come in on day 4 to have your blood taken, and then on day 7, on day 7 is when I had the visit with the doctor. She just wanted to talk to me about the results and stuff. So on day 4 my ACG levels was 350, and then on day 7 they were 212, so they were declining at a good rate. She had said, when I went on the 7th day, a week later, to talk to the doctor, she said no intercourse for 3 weeks, and the main reason for not doing that is because you don't know for sure when the pregnancy is going to be completely gone, and you don't want to risk getting pregnant again, and also because you don't want to push tissue back up in there into the tube. So yeah, I had to go in weekly to get my blood drawn so they could make sure. I had to keep doing that until the HCG levels went down to under 5. I don't think I've said this, but I've also had a partial molar pregnancy a couple years ago. So, and with that one I had a DNC surgery. So this one was a lot more painful, but at least I didn't have to do any kind of surgery. I went on April 28th. It was 212, the number, HCG levels. Then I went on May 5th. They were 55, so it had dropped quite a bit. And then May 12th, 25. May 19th, 15. It was dropping very slowly. Yeah, May 19th it was 15. And then May 20th was 3 weeks later after my visit with the doctor, so I visited with her again. She just kind of was talking to me about the numbers. Said I had to keep coming in, even though it was dropping. It was just taking a long time. Yeah, she was just telling me, to be careful with this. Don't get pregnant, because you never know when the numbers are going to be under 5 where they're supposed to be, and I could easily get pregnant as soon as everything goes back to normal. And we didn't want that to happen. So on May 19th it was 15. Then I went out of town for a week, and so I went back in I went May 19th. The next May 22nd we went to Florida, and on that day I started my period. So I knew that the numbers had gone down. I started my period very quickly. So then on May 31st, after we got back, I went back in, and the numbers were below 5. So that was it. And so what's today? Today is June 17th. I haven't had another period yet. I'm waiting to have another one, and then I can start taking my birth control again. As far as, like I told you guys, how did I feel emotionally? I think after I got the injection was when I actually kind of felt sad. I know that feels horrible, but I never, the whole pregnancy thing was a shock to me. So when she told me And also I knew that ectopic pregnancies can be dangerous and can kill you if the fallopian tube ruptures. So I was mainly scared and I was wanting to get it over with, and I didn't want that to happen. I knew even after going in and talking to her and figuring out what was wrong, and even after getting the shot, I knew there was a chance that it could rupture. So I was just ready to get it all over with. But after I got the shot, I did feel some sadness just at the thought of knowing that there was a baby forming in there, and I just got a shot that was going to kill it. But I mean, that sounds horrible, but that had to happen. Was really the only option, that or surgery to get it taken care of. So I did feel sad because, I mean, we weren't ready for a baby, but it's not like I would never like have an abortion or anything, you know. Even if we did get pregnant on accident, it's not like we would do anything. You know what I'm talking about. Sorry, I don't want to keep saying this stuff. Anyways, so yes, a scary experience, the most painful experience, and I'm just glad that it's over with. And for anybody else going through this, I read other people's stories on the internet, and there were so many people I read that they ended up going in because of the pain, and they ended up having emergency surgery, and a lot of their stories sounded like the pain that I had felt. And so I was like, wow, that's kind of scary. That could have easily happened to me, but thank God it didn't. And so if you ever experience anything like that, and you call your doctor and try to make an appointment, don't wait over a month to get in. Go see someone right away. And I think that's all. I just wanted to share the details of what I went through so that maybe it's helpful to you guys who go through it. So thank you for watching, and if you have any questions, let me know below. That's all. Talk to you later.